Yo, what is going on guys? Handish here, and thanks a lot for dropping by today for another Destiny video. And today I wanted to start and talk a little bit about some of the PvP weapons, or the weapons in Destiny currently, that are only going to get more legitimate and kind of prudent within the Taken King's PvP, considering the weapon patch that we're going to have a couple of weeks before the Taken King, which should be only a couple of weeks from now. So there's a couple of weapons I've got in mind to talk about, but first I wanted to talk about the MIDA Multi-tool, because it's a fairly well respected PvP weapon in general in Destiny already. If you ask a lot of kind of good players or experienced people that have played with the multi-tool as well, a lot of them will say, yeah, the multi-tool is a very good PvP weapon, but at the minute it tends to fall short, obviously, to some of the kind of the meta elements of Destiny's Crucible, so the last words and the thorns and other kind of elements as well, make the multi-tool a little bit less viable than perhaps it should be or it could be within Destiny's PvP. And on top of this, no one has really spoken about, or I haven't heard anyone really speaking about, the multi-tool and how the kind of patch may affect it and whether it'll be a good weapon in the Taken King. So I think it actually will be a pretty damn good weapon in the Taken King's Crucible. So firstly, right now it performs pretty well. You get the 55 crit damage, obviously you've got the high rate of fire. It tends to work well with the high agility builds and kind of the strafe style of gunfighting, and if you can get a good kind of strafe movement. I'm not necessarily the best at it, but some people are insanely good with the multi-tool, because it's one of those guns that takes a little bit of skill to use, or kind of more skill than perhaps some of the other well-performing weapons within the Crucible. But if you do land all of your shots, you know, it's very, very rewarding and a pretty effective weapon in general. So that's kind of why I wanted to talk about it a little bit, because like I said before, no one's really spoken about the multi-tool. So in the weapon patch there is nothing specific, or they didn't list anything specific during the preview that will be happening to the multi-tool in particular, but scout rifles are having some changes in general which will affect PvP. So they're going to increase the base damage for medium to high rate of fire scout rifles, which should include the multi-tool because it's a pretty high rate of fire scout. This won't actually affect the time to kill in the Crucible, so you're going to need the same amount of shots, body shots, crits to actually get a kill, but it will have a higher crit, a higher damage, which means it will contribute more to kills. It will also steal kills a little bit easier, which is always fun, of course. So yeah, that's kind of one of the changes. I think it's the change that's going to affect the multi-tool the most. Increased magazine size for all base inventory stats. That probably won't affect the multi-tool. Reduce final accuracy when firing from the hip, so they're going to be a little bit less accurate when kind of hip firing in close range, which isn't necessarily, especially with the multi-tool, isn't a legitimate way to play with that gun anyway. And it's going to boost damage by 5% against AI, so that's your PvE stuff, so that's all good as well. So in terms of the multi-tool, nothing negative is happening to it, only good things should be happening to the multi-tool. So that is pretty good when you consider a lot of other things are being changed. So effectively this gun is getting a little bit of a buff, but what you have to consider is more that the other weapons around it are kind of being brought back into a balanced spot, and perhaps the time to kill in the Crucible in general is going to change a little bit, and that's why I think the multi-tool will become a more legitimate and usable weapon in the Taken King's PvP, which is great because I think it's an absolutely insane weapon. It already performs pretty damn well if you get your shots and your pacing right and you're on the right kind of size map. Once you use that gun, it already performs very well in PvP, and with it basically effectively being buffed and other things around it becoming slightly less powerful, I think the multi-tool is going to be an insanely good PvP weapon in the Taken King. So that's kind of my thoughts on that. That's kind of my preview, or at least based on what we can see so far, my reasons for thinking that the multi-tool is going to perform very, very well inside of the Taken King. But of course we are going to get a whole bunch of new weapons, and that is kind of a big part of what the Taken King is about. So whether you want to use these weapons anymore is kind of a different thing, but it's nice to see that weapons which, you know, perform well and are fun to use now will perhaps, you know, be put into a slightly better spot and only get better in general. So there you go guys, that is my thoughts on the MIDA Multi-tool in the Taken King PvP. Let me know if you've got any weapons you're really excited for in the Taken King, if you're keeping anything to take into PvP in the Taken King. I've got a couple of multi-tools that I'm definitely holding on to for now, and if you've got any and you haven't tried it, definitely give it a shot, and I think you'll probably see how it could only get better in the Taken King. So there you go guys, if you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to drop me that comment down below and hit that like button as well if you have enjoyed the video. And if you're new to the channel and you want to see a lot more Destiny stuff, then don't forget to hit subscribe to see more daily Destiny content. But for now, you guys take it easy, have a great week, peace out.